All right, first and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, YHWH. Welcome back to another installment of Yahweh's Witnesses Israelite School Classroom Sessions, and today since we've been rained out of camp again, we're gonna go into a couple breakdowns. We're gonna go into two breakdowns specifically. Let me pick up this game. Salakia, brethren. If I sound too loud or something, somebody text me Yalad or Yawasap, just in case I am a bit loud here. But let's go. We're gonna go into two breakdowns. One being, first one we're gonna do is the regeneration breakdown. Because a lot of Christians, a lot of us are coming out of Christian church, Catholic church. Or you know what I'm saying, or just didn't believe, and some people just didn't believe in nothing. So we have a concept of heaven is where good people go, and hell is where bad people go after death. Well, let's see what the Bible says happens after death, right? So we're gonna start with the book of Ecclesiastes, right? Right after the book after Proverbs. We're gonna go into Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament, chapter 3, and we're gonna read first verse 11, right? The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 11. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. So, you know what I'm saying? We see that there's a mystery that no man's ever gonna find out, right? What happens after we die? Let's jump down to verse 14. Verse 14. I know that whatsoever God doeth, and God doeth it, Salakia. I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. Right? So anything the Most High God creates, He does it. Nobody can take away or add to it, right? Let's keep going. That men should fear before Him. That which has been is now. That, you know what I'm saying? Everything, you know what I'm saying? Everything goes in a circle, right? This has been here before. That which has been is now, and that which has been already, and that which is to be hath already been. So we're just watching a repeat of everything that's happened already. We're watching another repeat, right? Salakia. And God requireth that which is past. So He's always gonna want payment for that which you have done already. Remember, hold that thought. Let's go. We're gonna come back here, but let's go to Exodus chapter 20. We're gonna go into the 10 Commandments, right? And we're gonna read the book of Exodus chapter 20, verse 5. Thou shalt not bow thyself down to them, nor serve them, for I Yahweh, thy power am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the father upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto the thousands that love me and keep my commandments. So, now we see what Yahweh was saying, right? He's going to make them pay. Salakia. We're gonna go now. We see what he tells them, right? He said you're gonna get visited down from one generation to the next. Salakia. So what we're gonna do after we go to Exodus 20 and 5, we go to Ezekiel. Salakia. And we're going to Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 20, right? So that we see in context, he said that that visiting the iniquity of the father upon the son, right? So let's go. This is Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 20. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. Right? You know what I mean, right? So we see that my son isn't going to pay for what I did, and I'm not going to pay for what my father did, and my father's not going to pay for what I did, right? So what does that mean? Let's continue back in Ezekiel. We're going to come back to this. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and we're going to pick up at about verse 15. That which has been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. Verse 16, and moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, right? What's under the sun? The earth. We're under the sun right now. That the wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. And I said in my heart, Most High shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. So we see that at some point you have to pay for what you did. You know what I mean? We're not paying for what our fathers did. We're paying for what we did here in America. You know what I'm saying? For the steps we took, right? And we see that. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? We see that. Let's go to first. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and verse 35. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 14 verse 35. So let's see if what goes around comes around is in the Bible, right? We got to pay for everything here, right? 2nd Ezra chapter 14 verse 35, right? 2nd Ezra chapter 14 verse 35. For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again. What did it say? Where we shall live again. For verse 35 again. For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again. And then shall the names of the righteous be manifested, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. Right? So at some point we're going to have to pay. So when we die, we go back to the Father to receive our judgment to come back here. How do we know that? Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1, right? And we're going to start about verse 4 all the way down to 11. Ecclesiastes, or the preacher, chapter 1, verse 4. One generation passes away, and another cometh, but the earth abideth forever. So that the world's going to be blown up into pieces when YHWH comes and we're going to rule in the space kingdom, that's not true, because it says the earth abideth forever. Right? Verse 5, the sun also arises, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to the place where he arose. The wind goes towards the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. So everything goes and comes back into where it has come from. The wind, the sun, the rivers, right? Verse 8. All things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. Verse 9. The thing that has been is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. So again, nothing new under the sun per chapter 3. Keep going. And there is no new thing under the sun. So everything's been here. Whether it's a person, whether it's a vehicle, an idea, whatever, nothing new is under the sun, right? We've all had these ideas have been here. Everything has happened. We're sitting in our lot, and you're going to see that in a second. How we preaching out in the street is something we've done throughout throughout most every life, if not every life we've done. You know what I mean? Obviously, we can't know for sure in every life, but if we're sitting in our lot and we're doing what we're meant to do, that means we've done this before, right? Verse 9 again. The thing that has been, it is which shall be. The thing which is done is which that shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Verse 10, is there anything wherefore it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of the former things. So when you die, you don't have a memory of your past life, right? There is no remembrance of former things. Neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. So we never remember what we've done in our past lives. We just know that we're paying for our sins here. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 5, right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 5 to further prove that. At 2nd Ezra chapter 5, and we're going to jump into verse 42. Right? 2nd Ezra chapter 5, and we're going to go into verse 42. Right? 2nd Ezra chapter 5, verse 40. We're going to start at verse 41 all the way down to 48. And I said, Behold, O Most High, yet art thou nigh unto them that be reserved to the end. So he's close to those that are set. So he's close to the elect, those that are reserved to the side for the end. And what shall they do that have been before me, or what that they be now, or that they shall come after us? So he's asking, what about them that they've done before, or they're doing again, or what are they going to do when they come after us? Verse 42. And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring. What is a ring? A circle. Right? His judgment is like a full circle. What goes around comes around. Like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first. So I answered and said, Couldst thou not make those that have been made and be now, and that are for to come at once, that thou mightest show thy judgment the sooner? So he said, can you generate them quicker, have them here now, the elect now, so we can get through with all this, right? And we can make it happen faster. Verse 44, then answered he me, and said, the creature may not haste above the maker, neither may the world hold them at once that shall be created therein. So he said, nothing you can do to speed up the time or to slow it down. But when they come, they're going to come hard. No one's holding them. Verse 45, and I said, as thou hast said unto thy servant, thou which givest life to all, hast given life at once to the creature that thou hast created. And the creature bore it, and even so it might now also bear them that now be present at once. You know what I'm saying? So now he's saying, are they going to be here now? So he's talking about these people that are going to generate and regenerate. Now, how are we going to, now let's get into that. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 13. So now that we know, we're seeing life go in circle, right? It hasn't told you nothing about a place called hell. It hasn't told you none of that. What it did tell you was that that we've been here before. We're going to be here again. Our judgment is received here. But like I said, we all have a lot to stand in. Let's see where Daniel's lot was. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 12, and we're going to read verse 13, right? And reason being, let me see what happens in this presentation. And reason being, we're going to go to Daniel chapter 12, verse 13. Why? Because we got to see regeneration. I'm giving brothers a couple seconds so we can get there. And let's go to Daniel. We're going to go to Daniel chapter 12 and verse 13. Let's read it first in the KJV, right? The book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 13. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in the lot at the end of day, and stand in the lot at the end of days. So he said, go your way. He said, go that way till the end, and you shall rest. Now let's see it in a more plain English. Let's get it in the Good News Bible, right? Daniel chapter 12, verse 13 in the Good News Bible. And you, Daniel, so he's talking to Daniel, right? And you, Daniel, be faithful to the end. Then you shall die, but you will rise to receive your reward at the end of time. So he's telling Daniel that he's going to come back and receive a reward. How could you receive a reward when you come out here and do the work of the elect, right? And you being part of the elect clearly, right? But let's see if anything changes in the New Testament. Let's go to Revelation chapter 10. We're going to start at verse 9. Let's go to Revelation chapter 10, and we're going to start at verse 9. All the way down to the end of the chapter, verse 11. Revelation chapter 10, verse 9. And I went unto the angel, and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter. Now this is the same thing that happened to Ezekiel. He saw the same roll, and he ate the roll, right? He consumed the truth. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make your belly bitter. but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. Right? Verse 11. And he said unto me, thou must prophesy again before many peoples, nations, and tongues, and kings. Now, when we Google a little bit of John the Revelator, right? I'm gonna look up John the Revelator real fast, right? And his cause of death. Revelator. So we're going to see how John the Revelator died in Patmos, Greece, right? How did the Apostle John die? How did John the Revelator die? Natural causes. The church father that gave him as John the Evangelist, John of Patmos, John the Elder, and the beloved disciple testify that he outlived the remaining apostles and was the only one to die in natural causes, although modern scholars are divided on the veracity of these claims. So he died alone on an island, the island of Patmos is what he died in, right? You know what I'm saying? John died in the island of Patmos, right? So, and alone, but what happened? He said, he died on the island of Patmos, but let's read that verse 11 again. And he said unto me, thou must prophesy again, must prophesy again, right? Must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings, right? So given that Daniel was to regenerate, John the Revelator died on the island of Patmos. You know what I'm saying? How does he do this, right? How can he do this other than coming back for a second time, right? Let's go to let's go to Matthew chapter 11, verse 11. I'm pretty sure YHWH has had this. Oh, look, yeah, this is the one I wanted too. No. Hold on, John 11. Salaki. Oh yeah, boom. So we're gonna start at Matthew 11 and 11 all the way down to verse 15, right? Matthew 11 and 11. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he, right? So we're talking about John the Baptist. There's a subject matter, right? The subject matter is John the Baptist, not to be confused with John the Revelator. John the Revelator, again, was a disciple of YHWH, whereas John the Baptist was his cousin, right? John the Baptist was YHWH's biological cousin. We can go to Luke 1 and read that, and we'll get to that. Seeing as, we love to read, the Gospels. Matthew, Salakia, 11 and Salakia. Verse 12, and from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. As you see history, how we've been taken, right? Because the kingdom of heaven is within us, and I'm gonna bring out a lesson on that soon. And the violent take it by force, for all the prophets and the law prophesied until John, right? Verse 14, and if ye will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. He that has ears, let him hear, right? So YHWH is telling you that John the Baptist doesn't just have the spirit of Elijah, just doesn't resemble Elijah's teachings, just doesn't teach in the desert, like Elijah said, but he is Elijah. He said, if you will receive this, let's read it again, the last part of verse 13. We're going to read verse 14. And if ye will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. And how do we know that? Let's go to Malachi chapter 4, verse 5. Let's go to Malachi chapter 4, verse 5, right? Let's read that, because that'll tell you exactly what he's talking about. The book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 5, right? Malachi chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet. I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he will turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. When we look at it, we see that that John the Baptist did do that. Even YHWH spoke of it. But look at that. He said, if you will receive it, this is Elijah of who was said to come. Malachi chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet. I will send you Elijah the prophet. So see, even YHWH acknowledges the fact that we regenerate, that we've been here before, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 19 and verse 28. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19 and verse 28. I hope brothers is learning. I mean, we are trying to get this knowledge as much as we can. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19 verse 28. And YHWH said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, he shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel, right? So there is a goal too, right? Those that followed him, even in the regeneration, those that are still professing YHWH, right? Now he's directly talking to his disciples, but think about that, right? He said those that follow him into the regeneration means that at some point we're going to follow him into the next life, right? We're going to follow him to the regeneration. Let's go into Luke chapter 14, verse 12. I think this might be the one YHWH was talking about. Luke chapter 14 and verse 12. Luke chapter 14, verse 12. Then said he also to him that bade him, when thou makest a dinner or a supper, call not thy friends, nor thy... What the hell? Oh, 12? I'm sorry, I'm on verse 12. You on it. Oh, yeah, Luke 14 and 12. Let me see. Oh, boom. Yeah, it is. Salakia. This is the book of Luke chapter 14, verse 12. Then said he also unto him that bade him, when thou makest a dinner or a supper, call not thy friends, nor thy brethren, neither thy kinsmen, nor thy rich neighbors, lest they also bid thee again, and the recompense be made thee. But when thou makest a feast, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind, and thou shalt be blessed, for they cannot recompense thee. For thou shalt be recompensed at the resurrection of the just. Right? So again, talking about regeneration. The recompense of the judge is when we're regenerated into the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? When we're regenerated into the kingdom and fall and live the life YHWH had intended for us when he's, him and the Father had for us. Because we do have to live, we do have to have that sort of mind frame. Remember that, man. We're aiming for something different. Let's turn to the book of John, chapter 5. We're going to read from verse 24 to 34, right? Let's talk about we're going to keep talking about regeneration and how it goes. Let's go to John chapter 5, verse 24. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God. Hold that. Let's go to Baruch chapter 3, verse 4. Right? Let's go to Baruch chapter 3, verse 4. And everybody that's been in this camp should have this precept damn near memorized, because this is one of my favorite go-to scriptures, right? Let's go to Baruch in the Apocrypha chapter 3, verse 4. Where are you? Verse 4. I am blind. O Lord, Baruch chapter 3, verse 4. O Lord Almighty, thou, God, power of Israel, hear now the prayer of the dead Israelites and of their children which have sinned before thee and have not hearkened unto you. Right? So hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites, right? So now let's go back to John chapter 5, and we're going to pick up where we left off, right? John chapter 5, and we're going to be at verse 25. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear shall live, right? We also know the dead in the scripture what they are, right? Let's keep going. So Christ is not talking about a physical death, right? Let's keep going. Verse 26, for as the Father hath life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself, right? And hath given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man. Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming in which all that are in the graves shall hear my voice. Right? Remember that. And shall come forth they that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. Let's hold this real fast, and we're going to go back to Daniel chapter 12, right? Let's hold that. Let's go to Daniel chapter 12. And we'll show you what the other things Christ is talking about he's referencing in the same chapter 12 where Daniel was told he would resurrect. Let's see who else is in such story, right? Daniel chapter 12, and we're going to be at about verse 2. Oh yeah, verse 2. Daniel chapter 12, verse 2. Let's start at verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, and the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be time of trouble, which was never since before was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. Verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some shame to everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. You know what I'm saying? So we see that there's another resurrection, right? And those in the grave aren't a physical death. Let's keep going. Verse 30, I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me. If I bear witness myself, my witness is not true. There is another that beareth witness of me, and I know that the witness which he has witnessed of me is true. He sent unto John, and he bore witness unto the truth. But I received not testimony from man, but these things I say that ye might be saved. So we understand that there's going to be a regeneration and a resurrection, right? Those of us that are alive in the physical, Christ is going to have us here, right? And those that have died in the truth, Christ is going to resurrect them as well. But we keep living this life on loop. Let's go to John 11 and 21. Let's go to John 11 and 21. John chapter 11, verse 21. Then said Martha unto YHWH, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of the Most High, Yahweh will give it to thee. YHWH saith unto her, Thy brother shall rise again. Martha saith unto your brother shall rise again. Martha saith unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection of the last day, right? See, so we see that this is something that is being known. In the resurrection, he shall rise in the last day. YHWH said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believe thou this? Right? So we know that the scriptures give us life. We read through that. We went through that study, right, where the law gives us life. Right? The law is what keeps us, what keeps us alive, whether spiritually chiefly, and then physically, right? Let's go to Acts chapter 1 and verse 22. Acts chapter 1 verse 22. From the beginning from the baptism of John unto that same day that he was taken up from us, must one be ordained to be a witness with us of his resurrection. Right? So now we're seeing that John's going to resurrect. You know what I'm saying? John the Baptist, Elijah the prophet, he was going to resurrect. Now, a lot of us do believe that was the brother we call Abba Bivens that started the whole One West movement, as far as the way the schools teach and all that. The Spirit was expressly on him, and expressly on, at the time, on a brother named IBADYAH. And so we have the breakdowns we have now today, right? But let's keep going. Let's go to Acts chapter 23. Let's go to Acts chapter 23. Go to Acts chapter 23. Go to Acts chapter 23, verses 5 through 6. Boom. Yeah, that's the one. Let's go to Acts chapter 23, verse 5. Then said Paul, I wist not, brethren, that he was the high priest, for it is written, thou shalt not speak evil of the ruler of thy people. Yeah, that is actually in the Torah, if I'm not mistaken. Verse 6. But when Paul perceived that one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Of the hope and resurrection of the dead I am called in question. Let's keep going. Verse 7. And when he had so said, there arose a dissension between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the multitude was divided. For the Sadducees say there is no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. If you want to look at it in modern day context, we're all still divided very much in the same way. We may not have the same doctrine as the originals, but if you look, there's brothers that do not believe in the resurrection, in the regeneration. They don't believe in regeneration. They think once we die, we either go to heaven or hell type deal. And we see the same thing going on here. We believe in the regeneration. Clearly, we're sitting in this class, right? So we have to know, we have to believe something, right? Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 7. We're going to read verses 11 and 23. This lets you know that even the priests in that day had believed in the regeneration. Let's go to 2 Maccabees, Salakia. 2 Maccabees, right on 7. And if brothers ever get a chance, we will. But if brothers on their own accord get a chance, read the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 7, right? It's the whole chapter's a breakdown basically on regeneration and the belief thereof. But we're just going to focus on these two verses. First, let's read verses 10 and 11, right? After him, 2 Maccabees chapter 7, starting at verse 10. After him was the third made a mocking stock. And when he was required to put out his tongue and the right soon, holding forth his hands manfully and said courageously, these I had from heaven, and for his laws I despise them, and from him I hope to receive them again. What does that mean? He knows he's about to die, and he hopes that in the next life he gets those same hands back, right? Verse 23. But doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generation of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also his own mercy give you breath and life again, as you now regard not your own selves for his law's sake. So you see that? I'm going to read it again. But doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generations of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again, as you now regard not your own selves for his law's sake. So we see that the Most High is going to give these brothers their hands again. You know what I mean? He gives these brothers their hands again and had, you know what I'm saying, and had them, you know what I'm saying, replaced in the next life. Let's go to Ecclesiastes one more time, chapter 9. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, the book after Proverbs, and chapter 9. All right, we're going to go to chapter 9, verses 5 and 6. Let's go to it's Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 5 and 6. For the living know that they shall die. Remember that. The living know that they shall die. But the dead know not anything. So they're not anywhere. The dead are just dead. Neither have they may have any more a reward. For the memory of them is forgotten. Verse 6. Also their love and their hatred and their envy is now perished. Neither have they any more portion forever in anything that is done under the sun. Right? So the dead don't know nothing. And that's a scripture to bring out when people are like, you know, the ancestors don't know nothing. On top of that, the ancestors are the reason that we're in this predicament. Now, I'm going to read the book of, now let's turn to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 6. And we're doing this for two particular reasons, right? We're going to, we're going to read 1 Samuel 2 and 6, right? It's right after Judges, guys, right after Judges. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 6. Hold on, select. There's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 6. And now, the Lord show kindness and truth unto you. I will also require you this. Is it 1 Samuel? Oh, tripping. Oh, damn. Let me see what he requires of us, though. Kindness, because ye have done this thing. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 6, right? The book of 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 6. The most High YHWH killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. Right? The word there is Strong's H7885. The word for grave, right? And that word, I'm gonna read it. Let's see.
Strong's H7585. Sheol, and second entry, Sheol.
KJV translates Strong's H7585 into the following manner: grave 31 times, hell 31 times, pit 31 times. Primary, Sheol, underworld, grave, hell, pit. The underworld, Sheol, primary, the underworld. Secondary, Sheol, the Old Testament designation for the abode of the dead, a place of no return, without praise of God, wicked sent there for punishment, righteous not abandoned to it, of the place of exile, of extreme degradation and sin. Basically, you die, right? So the word for that was the word for grave there, right? Let's go to 2 Samuel 22 and 6. Let's go to 2 Samuel 22 and 6, right? So we could finish this lesson out. 2 Samuel 22 and 6. 2 Samuel chapter 22 and verse 6. Now look, the book of 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 6. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, and the snares of death prevented me, right? The word there, again, is Sheol, the grave or the pit. Now, let's read it in context. Verse 22 from the top. 2 Samuel chapter 22 from the top. And David spoke unto Yahweh the words of this song in the day that Yahweh had delivered him out of the hand of all his enemies, out of the hand of Saul. And he said, Yahweh is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, the power of my rock. In him I will trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, the high tower, the refuge, my Savior. Thou savest me from violence. I will call on Yahweh, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. When the waves of death compassed me, the floods of the ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, the snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon Yahweh and cried to my power, that he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter into his ears. Right? So if you look at it, he's not talking about, in any context, are they talking about hell like somewhere to go? It's just, if you read it in context, it's always talking about death or the grave. Right? So to sum it up, when we die, we don't go to heaven or hell or we regenerate. This is hell. Hell is a state of being, where we're at. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you know what I'm saying? Look at the places we grew up in, Black, Hispanic, and Native American. And if you're well off, Black, Hispanic, or Native, look around where your brothers have lived. Have they grew up? The majority of them are not where you're at. You know what I'm saying? So when we're not selling you a dream that if you behave good on earth, there's a place in the sky you go to. No. If you behave good, when you come back in your next life, you're not going to be where you're at. Most High will reward you in the next life. We just got to return and come back to these commandments and the faith of YHWH. You know what I'm saying? But with that, I like to give all honor and glory to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of his only begotten Son, YHWH. If anybody got any questions for the recording, you already know. Text me on the number. It's probably the best to text me on the number, or send me an email with your questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Those comments that don't listen to the video, they just want to put your opinion. Yeah, I'm just going to respond. I'm not even going to answer. The brethren in the class, after I stop the recording, I'll take your guys' questions. But with that, we'd like to give all honor and glory to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of his only begotten Son, YHWH, and we say Shalom.